Hi everyone. So I've been semi-introduced already. My name is Mel. I'm Mokhakala. I am a student and an impact diplomat of Africa, representing the region of Lesotho, which is a country completely bordered by South Africa in Southern Africa. So what we have here today is a presentation basically on SDG 5 and a project that was carried out around the SDG. So what I'll start by doing is basically, well, outlining for the entire presentation, is that we're going to start with a brief sort of introduction to the SDGs. Then we'll move into SDG 5 in particular, and I shall give explanations about how to go about starting a project, and I'll make reference to the project that was actually undergone, which was a women liberation movement called Walk to Women. So we're going to start with a video, and I do apologize if the videos don't play proper, but I recommend you use earphones for all three of the videos. So if you can't hear anything, I will be sure to summarize after the videos play. Thank you. Can you play video 1, please?
Air and healthy food. The good news is that Earth has enough of those for all of us. The bad news is that we've got a few problems in the way. The first, things we need to live. The fuels we burn are choking the atmosphere, running out of clean drinking water, and all of this is changing the weather. The second problem is inequality. Some people on Earth have far more than they need, and most people don't have nearly enough. This can lead to poverty, and that's not fair. Millions of people are unable to get medicine that could stop them from getting sick, or cure them if they do. In some places, children complain about having to go to school. In others, millions of children can't go to school at all. Is that... United Nations just announced the Global Goals for Sustainable Development. These are 17 goals to protect the planet against climate change and make the world safer, fairer, and more just for everyone. We have to achieve these goals by 2030. The great thing about having a plan is that we can check how we're doing along the way, give ourselves a pat on the back if we do well, and try harder if not. 2030 isn't so long away, so we'll need to encourage each other with lots of ideas.
All right, so please go back to the presentation, the slide after. I think it's the first slide. But so basically, for those who could not hear, the video basically introduced the SDGs, explained 17 sustainable development goals in brief, and sort of explained what their purpose is. So let me just basically summarize and give a quick brief on what exactly it is that the video spoke about. Okay. Could you please move to the next slide?
Yeah, 1 second. I'm just I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. Don't worry about it. That's okay. So do let me say that title of this presentation is Your Part, Your Voice, and in this case are all related to combat gender inequality. The presentation that you will be seeing today was presented by or developed by me and a co-presenter, Emihle, who for unforeseen circumstances has been unable to attend, but in actual fact, she and the co-presenter are the people who actually started the liberation movement. I will be sure, if the admin do not, to leave links to the website where you can contact her directly if there are any questions that I'm unable to answer. But do provide questions towards the end. I'll try my best. I've done extensive research. But anyway, okay. Developed under the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the goals were adopted by all member states of the United Nations as of 2016 for a common goal of tackling global issues. Sorry, keep it moving. These 17 Sustainable Development Goals work to ensure that the world is safer and accommodating for all people of different races, ethnicities, gender, socioeconomic backgrounds, etc. So, could you please move to the next slide? The way we're living now at this very moment is destroying the earth and thieving basic essentials like clean water from an increasing number of the global population. What the goals work towards is to ensure that the world we live in is safer for all of us by the year of 2030. Please move to the next slide. Okay, so now to speak particularly on SDG 5. SDG 5 is the fifth Sustainable Development Goal, which focuses on achieving gender equality and empowering all women and girls. This would create a world where there are no socio-economic, legal, or any other type of constraints that act as a hindrance to the empowerment of women and the observation while still observing the rights of men. Taking note of the fact that majority of gender-based violence, GBV, and or discrimination is against women, the targets for this SDG have been centered around the observation and implementation of women's rights. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to go over the targets of this SDG in brief and highlight mainly on targets 5.2 and 5.3, which the Women Liberation Movement that I spoke earlier about works towards achieving. So the targets of the fifth Sustainable Development Goal are as follows: to end all forms of discrimination everywhere, to eliminate all forms of violence and malpractices against all women and girls, and to end all forms of violence and other forms of exploitation. 5.3, to limit all harmful practices such as child, early and forced marriage, and female genital mutilation. To recognize and value unpaid care and domestic work as nationally appropriate. Next slide, please. To ensure women's full and effective participation in leadership, to ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights, to undertake reforms to give women equal rights to resources in accordance with national laws. Next slide, please. Slide D, to enhance the use of enabling technology among women. And 5C, to adopt and strengthen sound policies to promote SDG 5. So, next slide, please. Internationally, women have been out. There's a little case study on the side over there. I'm not sure how visible or how clear it is for you or for everyone, but let me just read out some of the info. Despite improvements, full gender equality remains unreached, but we have moved forward and we have fewer girls are forced into early marriages and more women are in leadership roles. And even though this is the case, we're not, as a globe, moving fast enough towards achieving the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, this one in particular, for us to say that by 2030 we'll have achieved all of them. Lockdowns are increasing the risk of violence against women and girls, physical, sexual, psychological, and cases of domestic violence have increased by 30%, by up to 30% in some countries. Women are at the forefront or the front lines of fighting the coronavirus, as women account for 70% of health and social workers. The fifth Sustainable Development Goal works to ensure that women are represented fairly in pandemic-related leadership roles. At this moment, we only have 25% of women filling positions in national parliament as of 2020, and we only have 36% of positions in local government filled by women. And finally, according to the case study, we have, women bear additional household burdens during the pandemic. So, or as it says here, already women spend about 3 times as many hours doing unpaid domestic work in comparison to men. And this would basically mean that while during the pandemic, let's all assume that we have a household and the male and the man and the woman are both working online or working virtually. Now the woman has to bear by domestic care work, unpaid work. It means that things like cooking, things like cleaning, rearing children, for some women it means taking care of sort of homeschooling children who can't be in school at the moment. Yes, next slide, please. So globally, we've been making small steps in the right direction. But the steps are just too small, as I said, for us to see complete eradication of malpractices and the implementation of legislations or laws that will benefit us all by the year 2030. Even though we as youth may not be able to directly contribute to the success of SDG 5 or any other sustainable development goal, in fact, there are still a great deal of things that we can do to help advance the SDGs. Hereafter, there are 2 more videos that I'm going to play. I do recommend, once again, that you use earphones. Yes, please do play video 2, and then after video 2, please do play video 3. Thank you.
Did you know that fewer women run big companies than men named John? Women are tremendously outnumbered in executive roles, and that has played a role in the pay gap between genders. SDG 5, Achieve Gender Equality and Empower All Women and Girls, fights these issues. My name is Robin, I'm Dutch, and I'm studying for the Master in Management at Rotterdam School of Management. I'm the student ambassador for this global goal, and I'm here to tell you about achieving SDG 5, gender equality. Women's rights have improved compared to how they were 50 years ago, but there's still a lot we can do to achieve equality between genders. Women are often discriminated against in the job market, and many countries still promote laws that put women in a secondary position compared to men. This happens in spite of the fact that organizations with an equal amount of men and women at senior management level considerably outperform those that lack equal representation. This difference in senior roles starts with education, as good education increases chances of getting paid well. Women have a harder time completing their education in less developed countries because they don't have access to contraception. This results in women becoming mothers before they have had the chance to finish school. In many areas, women have to stay at home from a young age and take care of their children and the household, which leads to dropping out of school. To summarize, there's still a lot of work to be done globally before women and men have equal opportunities. SDG 5 wants to end all discrimination, violence, and harmful laws and practices like female genital mutilation and child marriages by 2030. We need to provide sex education and reproductive health services to all women everywhere and make sure that both genders have equal opportunities in life.
The other video, or do I continue the slides?
Do the other video, please. Video, please. The last.
The other video too. Okay.
Thank you.
Was famous. The friends you have. New ways to make water. Next slide, please. All right. Next tutorial. Yes. Okay. So what I'm going to be doing from here is basically giving brief info, basically a generalization of how I feel one can execute not only the SDG5 music project, but how one can execute projects in general. Next slide, please. So there are two ways you could do it. One of which you could go the education route, which would basically be educating people in whatever way you can. It could be in your classroom, it could be tutoring, it could be in school, it could be in your community, whatever way you feel would be best to provide education on a particular issue, on a particular SDG, SDG5, maybe its target, and potentially even horrifying statistics that have been drawn from our very own lives with the hope of making someone want to join you in making a change. I do apologize if my voice is shaky or I'm lagging. Internet connection isn't too good on my side. But with regards to the project, you could either go, like I said, with education or with action. Education could be something you do as a preliminary step, where you start by educating people and then inform people on the project you want to undergo, and then these people you informed to take action. So take action in whatever way you know how. Visit shelters for SDG5 in particular. You could visit shelters for abused or vulnerable women in the house. You could volunteer to help unpaid domestic workers, or you could even start a women liberation movement. Next slide, please. So the movement that I will be referring to consistently is a movement called Walk for Women. Next slide, please. Walk for Women, the Walk for Women is to do basically, as I said earlier, is to advance SDGs to SDG 5, targets 5.2 and 5.3 to end discrimination against all women and girls and to end violence against all women and girls. So what this part of the presentation will be about is basically how to go about starting a project. And I'll be referring consistently to what Emihle had done to start her project or to co-found the project. So there's no better way to get your voice out there than to actually start a project. Not only do you get to interact with people with similar interests to yours, but it could also be a way for you to express
your opinion on a belief or your beliefs on a subject, to form relationships between stakeholders, or to get your message or opinion to reach more people at a faster rate. For example, in Walk to a Woman, it is a project that was founded this year in February by Emihle and a friend of hers. This project deals with issues that affect women by attempting to educate them on ways that they can be the change they want to see during the struggle against gender inequality. This project has acted as a way for the organizers to take the reins and have their voices heard. Next slide, please. So here are a few ideas on how you could go about starting a project. It is a more advised or advisory if you have a partner to work with on the planning and execution of a project, but it is possible to go at it alone. The only reason why it would be better to have a partner so that you can divide tasks so the work can go faster. But then again, for me personally, I prefer to go at it alone so that there's less of a middleman. But for a good project to be developed, a proper project must have a proper plan. Planning represents the outline of a project. One of the many struggles and challenges that came up during the building and sustaining of the Walk to a Woman project or initiative was poor planning. What happened for them was that partner organizations were contacted even before a concrete vision was set for Walk to a Woman, which resulted in some of the organizations they contacted seeing Walk to a Woman as unprofessional. So it is advised that before you go ahead with anything, you write out your plan, make sure you're aware of what it is you want to do, the steps you want to take, which organizations exactly you want to contact. Next slide, please. Do consider the following when you are planning. What exactly is it? What exactly is the project? What is it about? And what do you want people to know? Who's involved, being your partners, your co-founders, and how will the project or the end result affect people who aren't directly involved? How will the project start? How will it run? How long will it go on for? Walk to a Woman, for example, is an ongoing project that started in February, only picked up in around June, July, and is currently at its peak. Where will it start? Walk to a Woman, for example, decided to start via social media to build its following there, to gain a market there. Where are you going to get these people who are interested in this project? Basically, how are you going to market? The marketing is a key factor when it comes to starting a project. Your market doesn't necessarily have to be people who purchase a good or service. Your market is basically people who understand what message you're trying to pass and want to support you in the passing of this message. The bigger the market, the more successful the project will be. Next slide, please. So another point to note, commit. Make sure that you're very, very committed to this project that you want to do. Advice is that don't start a project if you're doing an SDG related project. Don't go about a project about an SDG that you're not passionate about. Because if you go about a project that you're not passionate about, it's more likely that you'll leave it halfway, even if you have a big market who's behind you and supports the movement you're trying to pass forward. Because you'll be working with people, your market, organizations, groups of people, you want your message to be heard and taken seriously. People fail to take people who don't appear serious and committed seriously. If you're a student, like the founders, take advantage of all the extra minutes you have in between your busy schedule to proofread an email, to update your project's social media page, to schedule a meeting with your partner to go over the next big task, etc. In October Women, for example, as I said, they started communicating with organizations that dealt with the same issues that they wanted to deal with. Organizations like Bongomoso in South Africa, which works towards educating youth in schools about gender-based violence. They partnered with the South African Police Services. The project is based in South Africa. They partnered with the South African Police Services to have them be assisted on directly working towards solving the problem. And they contacted organizations in an attempt to promote gender equality together. When partnerships eventually were obtained, it meant that even more work had to be put in to build and maintain the relationships and show respect for the organizations they were dealing with. If you do get partnerships with organizations, make sure not to neglect the stakeholders, regardless of how well you're doing, regardless of maybe you wanted a particular service from them. If you get that particular service, be sure not to neglect the people you've partnered with, because then if it so happens that later in future you realize you need something again, they're going to assume you're very inconsistent. Keep updating them and let them know how far you've gone, what your next move is, even if it doesn't involve them. Just keep them updated and contact them regularly. Next slide, please. Be sure to promote your project. That's how you'll make sure that you build or increase your market. Be creative. Capture people's attention with your innovative ideas and marketing tactics. Dr. Women's idea of innovation, which is currently an ongoing project, was to do what hasn't yet been done in their area, which was to develop a hotline, which is #Women123 in South Africa, which can be used by women who feel they are in danger of being abused or want to report gender-based violence without alerting the perpetrator. So in brief, basically what this hotline does is there's a particular phone number, a particular code that you call, and the police will be directly there to answer the phone, and you say any number between 1 and 4, and the police will be alerted of the situation and your location, so they can be there to directly help you if need be. Attract attention. Get the word out as far as possible. Dr. Women started from Facebook, where they hosted live videos, they created advertisements, and a website for marketing, to which they have received surprisingly good feedback and engagement, which goes to show you won't know just how successful something is until you actually attempt to market it. For all you know, there is an audience for a project or a movement you want to initiate. They just don't know that you exist. Next slide, please. Now, what to do if you're going at this alone? You have no partner. It's just you, no market, no partner, and you're starting out. Do 3 things. You could start by starting your project online, which is most advisable, as majority of the world's population has at least one social media account. So by using these platforms efficiently and to your best ability, it will be nearly impossible for you to not reach at least one person. Request partnerships from like-minded people. Ask for what it is that you want. Don't be vague or assume that when you advertise yourself, we know exactly what it is you want. Tell us exactly what it is you want when you do ask for partnerships. And thirdly, create unique ideas. Do things that people haven't done or in a way that people haven't done them. Attract attention to yourself, not necessarily because of the movement you've created, but because of the way you market it. Next slide, please. So what difference exactly will your project make? For what reason do you have to actually start the project? So a small change is still change. A single project could have a huge impact. Knowing that, and secondly, you could carry out a project to boost your self esteem and confidence. Knowing that you independently carried out a project will surely provide you an extra boost of confidence and self assurance. And thirdly, more heads are better than one, in the sense that one more project, even if it's carried out with regards to the same issue that's been carried or that's been worked towards consistently, will make one more difference. Maybe your project, maybe other projects didn't reach people, and your project just might. Maybe it so happens that the way you market it yourself will get the message out there faster in comparison to the way other people have. So don't be afraid to start a project or not to start a project because other people have already done it. Next slide, please. Forgive me there. That was not typed out right. Starting a project is hard, to be honest. But it can be a little bit easier if you refer to the MEMO acronym. Note the following things when you're just starting out, when you're planning, when you're trying to develop an idea or exactly how you want to execute your project. Take into account the project founder, where you are or where you stand with regard to the project, what your position is or what your status is in society, and how influential are you. You don't have to be influential to start a project, just that it might work to your advantage in the long run. Note everyone, all the people who will be affected by this project in any possible way, the organizations or the groups of people you contact, or the schools, the target market, where in this instance for October women is women, the members, the people who you're working with, figure out who it is you want to work with, who is it that you plan to work with in the future. You want to keep this project small, just between you and another person. And also O, the organization itself. So we're nearing towards the end of the presentation, and we're grateful for the end of the presentation. But please do allow me to note a few things with regards to starting a project or Emihle's experience in starting a project. When you're trying to pick organizations or groups of people you want to work with, pick people who you feel would be interested in your work, people who share a similar vision, people who are working towards the same things you want to work towards. For October Women, they contacted them by social media or by email, and most of which actually did respond positively and seemed interested, so we didn't have any issues with response to carry emails. They worked with companies for specific projects, so they didn't go to an organization or a school or a group of people and say, we would like you to become a partner organization consistently, and for as long as this project goes on, we want you to invest consistently throughout the course of this project. They basically made them aware that the partnership between them and the organization was non-binding, and after the small project was carried out, they'd be free to go their separate ways. When you are sending emails to or like contacting schools or especially bigger organizations, keep your emails professional and keep them curt. These people are busy people. Put all the information they need into as few words as possible. If your email has to be long and you have no way of shortening it, make sure you catch their attention from the very beginning and state your purpose and the idea you have, as well as what exactly it is you need from them, so that if they only read the first few lines, at least they have gotten all the information. How exactly Walk to Women has grown? Well, as I said, they started out in February and didn't really receive much of a response until July. But at this point, October, yes, at this point, They have potential partners nationally and internationally potential partners internationally and corporate partners in countries like South Africa, Zambia, Namibia, Ghana, Nigeria, and one potential partner in the US. They've been offered an invitation to be a part of the Global Citizens Group. A few challenges that they came up with, or that came up throughout the project, they only had a proper following once Corona had hit properly. So now they were unable, even though their friends and they lived near each other, they were unable to meet in proper to discuss certain issues, to discuss certain tasks, to make decisions. So they had to maneuver it virtually. They had to, for resources in particular, which was an issue and will be an issue if you're starting a project from scratch. When you have nothing to start with, you'll figure out how to use what you have already to create what you don't. So with regards to the market, they needed a market, they needed sponsors in order to get where they are today. So they asked family, they asked friends that could help with advertising, as well as using social media instead of bigger billboards. Make sure you have a backup plan for every scenario. And a backup plan for your backup plan in case the backup plan fails. Another way you could actually be in contact with bigger organizations or to get them to want to partner with you is a bit of guilt tripping. Make them aware of their obligation to contribute to society and make them aware of the fact that helping you in advancing a particular SDG or helping you in making positive change in your community is what they're obliged to do, which will work over time. But people, another struggle that they had was that people did not believe that what they were doing could be achieved by people of their age. They didn't think it was possible. They didn't feel as though the youth could be trustworthy or could be trusted. So in that way, getting sponsorship was a bit difficult in the beginning. But the easiest way to have someone believe in what you're doing or believe that what you're doing is legitimate is to actually start doing. You advertise and you say, we want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do that. And our vision and mission is 1, 2, 3. Until you actually execute or you actually advance or make action to the words you're saying, the odds that will actually believe you are quite slim. You need to see that even without us, you can do all that we're here to do is to support you. So with regards to how exactly they decided to target the issue or what issue to target was that in South Africa, there's quite a bit of, or there is quite a bit of gender-based violence that goes on. So they realized this and they decided that they wanted to take action. They decided that this isn't something that they can directly influence or directly stop, but they can contact other people and have them help them to achieve the goals that they want to achieve. Pros and cons really of having a partner versus not, as I said earlier, is basically for the partner, tasks can be divided and you can move along a bit faster as compared to if you don't have a partner. But in my opinion, having a partner makes things go a bit slower. I don't have experience when I work on projects or small initiatives or small movements. When you have a partner, you have many more opinions to go through. So if I feel this way or I feel like we should do this and this and this, then now I have to take it to my partner and say, how do you feel about this? Then you have to take it to another partner. Let's take it to another partner. And we all have to agree before we move forward. But when you're working at it alone, the only person you consult is yourself, which is also a downside of working alone. You have no one to sort of validate or verify whether or not they feel as though the initiative could work. or is actually marketable. Next slide, please. Okay. In summary, oh, sorry. Yes, thank you. In summary, it takes you to make the change that you want to see. Starting and executing a project is quite difficult, but can be easy so long as you don't fall behind in planning. Planning is crucial, marketing is crucial. Do not forget. And do attempt to consider the normal acronym of me, everyone, members, and organization when you go about actually starting the project. Next slide, please. And note that even if it's one project, it will make a change. Even if it's a small change, it's a change nonetheless. You're young, you're strong, and indeed, your voice matters. Next slide, please. Thank you. On the next slide, there's basically information which have been passed in the chat about Okto women, how you can contact them and speak to them directly if you have any questions that I'm unable to answer. So at this point, the presentation is over, and I'll be taking questions, if any.
Yep. So if any, firstly, thank you so much, Neil, for that presentation. Even though we did have a little bit difficulty with the audio, I think the presentation and the slides were very informative, and it was a really wonderful session. So thank you so much for that. And outside of that, we are now, sorry about that, we are now taking questions. So participants, if you guys have any questions, anything that you want to know from our presenter, you can either raise your hand or you can write down your questions in the chat and then we'll recognize it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to either raise your hand or write it down in the chat box. While we are waiting for some questions, I'll just once again drop some links in the chat box so that you guys can refer to them. Firstly, the links about the initiative that our presenter was talking about. Secondly, today is the 75th anniversary of United Nations, so there is a small activity that you guys all are encouraged to take part in. So there's the link for that. And there is also and social hour happening on every day of the summit where you just basically go and hang out with everyone, be a part of various fun activities. So I would just like to share a link for you guys to be a part of the social hour for day 3. So please don't forget to register for it. And then here are some links for the places where you can find our help desk and the merch for MUN Impact. So there you go, all the links. Now, if we have any questions, you can either raise your hands or send them in the chat box once again. And as Ms. Martin has reminded, it would be great if everyone could turn on your cameras. We would also like to take a picture to just record this. So if you guys can turn your cameras on, that would be really appreciated. Thank you so much.
Hey there, everyone. Thank you for hanging in there with the audio issues. Very intrepid. I'm going to share a couple of things with you, actually, now that speak to what you were speaking about. We'll wait till we get a few more cameras on and then I'll do a screen share. My cat here. All right. All right, quick photo. We've got a few of us.
Yep,
Hey, Naomi from Malaysia. Yay. Where do you go to school?
I go to Garden International School.
Arden, I know where that is. I used to work at Mont Chiara. Yeah. All right, quick photo. While we're doing that, I want to share my screen if it will let me. The first thing, I want to share this link with you. This is something that we shared in the Sandbox strands this morning. If you are interested in particular SDGs and want to be involved in projects, future projects, where you can collaborate with others around particular targets or issues, this is a type form that I'm going to publish in the chat. So please feel free to do that. And then the other thing that I want to share with you is we had a session yesterday from a brother-sister team in India who started something called the 100,000 Deeds campaign. And it was all about taking small actions to support the SDGs, right? Small actions taken by many, many people create large impact. And so we're going to be collaborating with them, and we're relaunching this into the 100,000 Deeds campaign or challenge. And we're looking for a leadership team. So we're looking for students from all over the world that can help us develop this and push it out. And we are actually going to hold a preparatory meeting a week from today. So this is the website, and embedded on the website, you see on the of us an email, but we hope that you will get involved. A couple of different ways to keep the conversation going here after the summit. Okay, thank you, folks. That's it from me.